Hi, I want to talk to you about the idea of containers. And you might be thinking of a container. When I say container, you might be thinking of a box, a Tupperware. Your purse contains a lot of things. Your closet probably contains a lot of things. The boundaries of your flesh contain many things. Then your awareness itself may not be completely within the boundaries of your flesh, within the container. A couple of videos back, I talked about the location of consciousness and how this comes from Otto Scharmer, and he calls this the field structures of consciousness. And the dot represents your awareness, the center of yourself. So at this level, you're centered clearly inside of yourself. The circle is the boundary of yourself, the container. In level 2, you're on the edge of your boundary. In level 3, your awareness has floated beyond the level of your flesh. So I've expanded my awareness to the feeling of being bigger than just my body. And then level 4, which I didn't even get to in that video, is that I've expanded to the point that it is possible to be aware and conscious from the perspective of other sentient beings. So I'm aware of my awareness, but then I can also, this is where the psychic, intuitive things are happening here. Okay, that's just a quick review. You can go and check out the other video. But I needed to bring it up just to talk about today's topic, which is thinking about the containment system for our magic, our creativity, our plans, our visions. So if you're a person who finds it pretty easy to be empathic and tune into awareness from many sources, your container is pretty open. Things can kind of float in and float out very easily for those of us who are empaths and psychics and mediums and the like. Now, if you are familiar at all with the concept of sorcery or magic or witchcraft, you'll know that all the work begins with casting a circle. A circle is the container that's designed to hold the magic that the sorcerer is conjuring. And that magic is building and building and building, stays within the circle. And that's about safety and protection. It's also about gestation. Think of a caterpillar. If a caterpillar goes into the cocoon or chrysalis, it starts to melt down. And if it didn't have that safe container, when it melted down, it would be vulnerable to being eaten or drying up in the sun or drifting apart to the point that it can't pull itself into what it needs to be to become a butterfly. So whatever it is that you're conjuring, creating, manifesting, if you're an intuitive and empathic person and you spend time talking with lots of other people while you're creating, then those magical energies and seeds are drifting out into the universe. They aren't being contained within a safe circle, a sacred space. The circle that you cast to do the magic. In witchcraft, we raise the energies within the circle. We code them to have a certain action in the world, and that's all still within the circle. And then we ground those energies again. And that's when you release the circle. That's when the work is done and it can leave and go into the world. But like the caterpillar, you can't send that creative work into the world until it has wings enough to fly. Okay? So not just a magic circle, but there's also a relationship is a container. Okay, so let's say that there's a couple of friends who are like this. We've transcended the boundary of ourself, and we have a closeness in our relationship where I can hear you and hear deeper things than what you would ordinarily tell a random person on the street, I would hope. Now I'm going to say, here's these two people, and they're each themselves, and the places where they overlap are the container of what they share. But if we're people like this, let me draw this again really quick. Gotta erase, make the porous sort of dotted line boundaries of self. And I've floated out here, and you've also floated out here, and then our container becomes this. And if I'm very open with you and you're very open with me, we can strengthen our container and build trust. And our container is tested whenever there's any kind of a conflict. If we can introduce conflict without breaking out of the container and losing ourselves, leaving one another, then the container gets stronger. I'm going to erase all this and start a new idea. Okay. So, I want to link these things back together. If we're a very open person with an expanded consciousness, it's useful that the boundary of ourself is porous, and then we come into contact with other people, and they're like us or they're not. And to the degree to which we're putting our sacred magic out there, our theories, visions, beliefs, the things that have been revealed to us, the more we put those out there, the more we run into this is me, and I'm putting all my stuff out there. This is another person who is firmly rooted within themselves. And everything that they encounter has to be filtered through all of this layer of self. And they run into one of my magical beliefs. And they take it into their filters. And guess what? They have chosen not to live like this. They haven't transformed and metamorphosized enough to spend time like this. Or they spent time like this, didn't like it, and shut themselves back down. Because there's not one that's better than the other. They're just appropriate for different points in time. So this person sees this magical belief of mine, and if they get triggered, they can, this ties into what I was talking about in my most recent video. They get triggered. Now, the one that it's tied to is managing perceptions. That's probably 4 videos ago. I'm sorry for the interrupt. Okay, so this person encounters my magical idea, and it's so alien and foreign to them. As it's going through their filters, it's causing them to have a lot of judgments. And if there's someone who has a stake in my well-being, like a mother, if I say something that my mother thinks is like, whoa, totally weird, even crazy, as it's coming in there, it's not meeting up with any of her experience. And it doesn't connect, it doesn't jive. So then she starts to reject what I'm saying. And that could be pretty painful for me. She could even feel that I'm in some kind of danger. She could feel that I'm fanatical. If I'm really excited, talking a lot about this magical thing that I believe in, that I saw, that I understood, a gift that I have, something non-ordinary, and it's too alien to her, she will reject it to the point that she might believe that I'm crazy. If she perceives enough danger, she could try to act on that. This, it's a gift when someone we love watches out for our mental health and helps us to see that we need an intervention, some time with a doctor, some medication. That's not always gaslighting. Sometimes that's genuinely love. So it's my job as the person who's holding, conjuring, creating, manifesting. It's my job to come up with a container, a safe space, a cocoon where these things can gestate and grow and develop and metamorphosize into the butterfly. I can't let my magic out beyond the container before it has wings to fly on its own, or else it will be attacked in some way. Okay, so in the broader sense, if I've had a revelation, a prophecy, and I start trying to tell the whole world before I've developed it enough, I can run into other thought leaders who are attacking me publicly and saying that whatever it is that I'm saying or doing is just wrong or crazy or weird. Why get into all that? Why agitate all this ire? Let the magic be sacred and be contained. Okay, so contained within ourselves until we're in the safe space with safe people. So if you're a psychic medium and you've begun practicing talking to dead people and you meet other people on this path and you feel safe, you can talk about those experiences with them. You don't necessarily want to take it to your skeptical Aunt Matilda until you have reached the gestation and metamorphosis enough that that creation has wings. So when someone writes a book about how they've talked with dead people, they've already gotten verification and corroboration and credibility and all of these things for many months. They've got clues and data and evidence to show. And so when Aunt Matilda finds out that you've written a book and that 10,000 people have bought it, she's not personally triggered and worried about you as much as when you first started talking about it on the first day and you sounded crazy to her because it's so foreign. So, take your work, your sacred work, into safe spaces first. Build a container. Keep the work in the container. If you share your magic with every random person, even if you can sense that they're expanded and they get it, you just met them at an event, you spent 10 minutes talking with them, and you can tell that they're tuned in enough to really get what you're saying. You still may not want to create a container with them that only lasts 10 minutes because your sacred truths, they were for you, and they can get watered down. The more you're giving that stuff away, the more it's floating away. So let your creation have its safe space in a cocoon before you just cast it into the world. It's kind of like that, don't cast your pearls before swine. Why try to convince Aunt Matilda that you can talk to dead people? Does it matter? Is it meant for her? If it is meant for her, she'll expand to the place where she seeks it. And she may not seek it from you. She may stumble across someone else. And when she's ready, it'll be there for her. It's not your job to convince everybody else of what it is you know. When they're ripe and ready, they'll understand. So, I hope this allows you to amplify and build your magic, the things you're creating and conjuring, to the extent that when they do have wings, nothing can take it down. Okay?